Hello, anyone not still living in the 1970s? We interrupt your day to bring you this announcement. Husker Ninja is in the building. Alright, guys, we are here today with episode number 16 of the Carolina Panthers franchise, right here on Madden 25. And today it is time for the Season 1 off-season. We say goodbye to Season 1 after a year in which we reached the wild card game, and then we went on a tear and ended up winning the Super Bowl. And so we asked Steve Smith his ring, and if this is indeed his final season, as I've expected since the beginning, he would probably go one, maybe 2 seasons max. If this is his final season, he goes out on top. And a wide receiver, I believe, will become a big need for us, since he was really a huge chunk of our passing game, because I really wanted to utilize him as much as I could for year one, knowing our time with him would be limited. And so he goes out with an MVP award if this is indeed his final year. But first, before we get into the offseason, we want to check the season stats, because we already checked the Pro Bowl and the regular season awards and stuff like that. So I will see you for the season stats. So on the year, Cam Newton finishes with a 107.3 passer rating. 4,278 yards, 48 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So Cam had a good year. I know he's going to be up for a contract next year. And if he continues to play this well, it'll be kind of tough to not sign him to an extension. So he only completed 58% of his passes, I guess. That is a number you'd like to see improved a little bit more. So it's a situation we'll monitor at the start of the season, but if he can keep up his play to the way he played this season, I really feel he would be worthy of a long-term contract, and we won't need to look for a different solution at quarterback. Rushing-wise, Jonathan Stewart finishes the season 310 carries, 1,723 yards, averaged 5.6 yards a carry with 11 touchdowns. I guess I should say I do not believe this includes postseason stats. He did have 6 fumbles. That's a little bit of a concern. But yeah, Stewart, I think he's only, 26, 27 maybe, so he should still have 3 to 5 years left, I would think. So an opportunity to build on that, just improve ball security a little bit, and really no one else ran the ball much. Getting Cam Newton involved more in the running game in Season 2 is probably, I would say that should also be a top target for us next year. I mean, if he's a dual threat quarterback, why wouldn't we utilize him more, And then receiving wise, it was all about Steve Smith, basically. He had 255 catches, 3,655 yards, 42 touchdowns. I mean, we went to him early and often, and every pass play, it was, let's try and force feed Steve Smith. Sometimes it was to our detriment, but most of the time it wasn't. And he puts up a monster season. The next most receptions is 28 from Mike Thomas. We signed him, I believe, in week 2 or 3 to a 1-year deal. He may be someone we try and convince to re-sign in the off-season. But yeah, 28 catches, 477 yards, and 5 touchdowns for Thomas. Greg Olsen finishes with 5 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. Tavares King is someone I think who needs to be a bigger focus going forward. He's only going to be in his second season, but he had 2 catches for 15 yards in the regular season. He had a number of big catches in the playoffs, though, so I think he could potentially be a key cog. So if we can keep Thomas add King, maybe a dress receiver, either in free agency or the draft. I think we gotta be feeling pretty good about our chances there. Elsewhere, Stewart had 2 catches, and Williams, the backup tight end, had 1. Now, I don't usually take a look at blocking stats, but I want to see how they did as far as pancakes versus sacks allowed, And so your pancakes. Why is it not? Alright, yeah. So Amini Silatolu had 18 pancakes to lead the team. Ryan Seymour, 14. 11 for Jeff or Jordan Gross. He could also potentially be a retiree this year. Not sure how much longer he's going to be playing. Campbell had 9. Ryan Khalil had 3. Khalil had 7. Bell had 3. And no one allowed more than 2 sacks, I don't believe. So that is a plus. Yeah, you have a bunch of people who only allowed 2 sacks. So the offensive line has been good. It's just a matter of keeping everyone together, And defensively, Luke Kuechly led with 71 tackles, 52 for Godfrey, 45 for Thomas Davis, 44 for Jordan Heath. I think he was someone we picked up in free agency, just looking for young guys. And he filled up, I think, strong safety. That was a position I would have been looking to address earlier, like when we started the franchise. But now I don't think it's as huge a deal. 32 tackles for Starlo Tulele, 29 for Josh Norman, 27 for White, 26 for Captain Munnerlin, 23 for Drake Hardy. And looking at tackles for loss specifically, you're going to get 15 for Lotulele and Drake Hardy. They both had big seasons. Hardy we signed to an extension during the season, so he's going to be around for a few more years still. Thomas Davis had 10. He's getting up there in age, though. Don't know how much longer he's going to be playing. Don't know how much longer he's going to be a very good starting caliber player. 9 tackles for loss for Kuechly, 7 for Kawan Short, 6 for Charles Johnson, 5 for Heath and Wes Horton, 3 for Mario Addison, AJ Klein. AJ Klein is a young dude that I think next year we give him a shot to really see what he can do. We didn't start him until later in the season, but I think it's time to see what we have in him, see if he's a viable long-term option going forward for us. Lotulele led with 13 sacks. Hardy was second with 8. We have 5 apiece from Short, Johnson, and Horton, 3 from Kuechly and Addison, 1 from Thomas Davis. Interceptions, we had our fair share of picks this year. We had 6 from Josh Norman, 6 from Charles Godfrey, 3 from Kuechly and Munnerlin, and 2 from White. So pretty good seasons, all things considered, honestly, as far as interceptions go. I don't think we had too many forced fumbles. Also looking at deflections, we had a good amount of pass breakups right there too. But forced fumbles, I think we had a few, nothing crazy. But yeah, that's 5 forced fumbles. You have Godfrey, you have Kuechly, you have Heath, Thomas Davis, Robert Lester, the backup strong safety, forcing a fumble. And from there we recovered maybe 3 of them. Godfrey had a fumble recovery, Munnerlin had a fumble recovery, Charles Johnson had a fumble recovery. I don't remember if we had a safety or not. But as far as defensive touchdowns go, you have 1 from Melvin White, the young cornerback. I think, honestly, all things considered, secondary is looking okay. Oh yeah, you do actually have 2 safeties from Lotulele and Kawan Short. Kicking wise, obviously you're going to have Graham Gano, Overall, he made 81% of his fields. He went 9 for 11, so really not too bad at all there for him. Punting, we didn't do that very much, so Nortman did fine, I guess. Ted Ginn, he had an okay regular season returning it, but in the playoffs, he really played a big role for us as far as returns and flipping the field position, and so he wasn't someone I was really planning on bringing back before the playoffs, but now I think we might extend him an offer just to see. Yeah, with that, it is going to be time to get into the off season, so I will see you there for that. But it is official. Steve Smith has retired. He hangs it up one season into this franchise, but he leaves with an MVP award and a Super Bowl title, something he could not get in real life, but he gets it here and he retires, and perhaps he reaches the Hall of Fame. As you see some news on the social media sidebar, Peter Schrager says if he's voting, Steve Smith will get a gold jacket in August. And Ross Tucker says Steve Smith walks away, the NFL will never be the same. Indeed, Adam Schefter says he'll be one of the greatest. So we'll have to see if he reaches the Hall of Fame. But for now, let's check retirings around the league. So key names, you get Charles Woodson retiring, Santana Moss, London Fletcher, Quentin Jammer, and Champ Bailey. So some big names so far. Champ Bailey, could be a Hall of Famer. Dominic Raiola's out. Takeo Spikes retires. Adam Vinatieri is gone. Dwight Freeney's out. Fred Jackson retires. James Harrison. Willis McGahee. So a few big names hanging up the cleats. Todd Heap, another one. And so, with that, it's time to get to re-signings. Alright, so our first re-signing to look at, you have quarterback Jimmy Clausen. He's a backup. We're not giving him $14 million a year with some of our other names. We will have to re-sign, but if he wants 5.4 over 4, sure, we'll take that for a backup. If not, we'll just look elsewhere. And so Ted Ginn, like I said, I wasn't going to bring him back because I don't really see him as a viable receiving option. But with the impact he made in the playoffs and the return game, if we can bring him back for like $5 million over 4 years as a return specialist, I'd certainly take that. Alright, so looking at Mike Thomas, he's 27 years old, but he made some nice catches in the early and middle part of the season before Steve Smith really started to break out. We have nothing at receiver right now. We have Tavares King, and that's about it. So we have to make this offer to Mike Thomas and then address receivers somewhere else. So we are here. Jake Byrne, he's a backup tight end, 24 years old. This is a little bit more than he's asking for, but it's still a pretty cheap offer, so we're going to extend this one to him, see if he signs. For Brandon Williams, he's another tight end. I mean, he doesn't want a ton of money, so if he accepts this $1.3 million a year for 3 years with no bonus, we'll take it. Alright, so Jordan Gross, he's 34 years old, but he doesn't want a big contract. He wants 1 year, $7.04 million. We'll overpay him slightly because he's been a long-time Panther. He won the Best Offensive Lineman Award, was a Pro Bowl selection. So we'll give you a little bit more to take this 1 year deal and finish your career in Carolina, Jordan. What do you say? So now we come to Andrew McDonald. His backup could be the heir apparent at left tackle. We'll see what he says. A little bit more than he's asking for. We'll see if he takes it. And so that brings us next to Brian Folkerts. He's a young center, 24 years old. He's an A5 overall. He's behind Ryan Khalil for now. But, Khalil's getting up there in age too. And so Folkerts is too big of a piece to not keep around we'll see if he takes this. Alright, so Captain Munnerlin is 26 years old, 91 overall. He owns 38.5 mil over 5 years. He's been a key piece of our secondary. We're going to offer him a little bit more than he's asking for, 39 mil. Come on, Captain. Please accept. Tanner Hawkinson, he's a backup left guard. He wants 19 mil a year over 5 years. He's a backup, did not play at all this year. We're not going to give him that. But, we will submit a low ball offer, see if he accepts. So Ryan Seymour, at right guard, 24 years old, 90 overall. He was a Pro Bowl guy, someone that we need to bring back. So I have no problem offering him a little bit more than he is desiring. Come on, Ryan, please accept. So next, Jeff Heath, strong safety. He's young. He's a key piece of the secondary. We got to bring him back. So he's not asking for a ton of money. 4 years, 9.68 mil. I'll give him a little bit over that. Please sign Jeff Heath. So we get contracts rejected from Clausen, Ginn, Williams, Thomas, and Byrne accept. And elsewhere, Gross accepts, McDonald rejects, Folkers, Munnerlin accepts, Hawkinson rejects, Seymour accepts, Heath accepts. So we still have our franchise tag. Do we use it on one of Hawkinson or McDonald, perhaps? So we will franchise tag Hawkinson. And he may play, he may not. He may be a part of a tag and trade. We do. I'm not going to rule that out either, but I don't think it makes sense to not use the franchise tag. So we sat out free agency because we had basically no money, and so now it's time to start the NFL draft. So we're here in the draft. We need a wide receiver. We just need to bolster it a little bit because I'm not completely confident in who we have returning. And so a top target for us should be Mario Means out of Nebraska City, from that Nebraska City dynasty I used to have going on. And so we're going to attempt to trade up to be able to select our man. So we're going to offer Nate Chandler because he's our backup. He's an 84, 25-year-old overall, so he's a good player. And the Rams have need for a right guard. So we'll offer him 2 fifths this year, see if they accept it. Alright, so they didn't want 2 5s. Will they do it for Chandler and 2 4s for the first overall pick? And they will do it for 2 4s in the first overall pick. Or 2 4s in Chandler. So we had 3 4s, so now we have 1 4. But we get the first overall pick and we can select our man we covet. So we are on the clock after trading up for the first overall selection. So that means it is time to take Mario Means, boost our receiving core after Steve Smith retired. And he's going to go a long way to fill in the shoes of this year's MVP. And so it says we have need for a right outside linebacker. So I have my eye on Dorian O'Daniel. He's a left outside linebacker from Clemson. But yeah, we just need to boost our linebacking unit. And so I have my eye set on him. He's projected early first. We'll monitor and see where we need to make trades at. So you can see the Dolphins have need for an outside linebacker, and so we're going to try and trade up with them again. They also need offensive linemen, so we're going to try and trade up once again. We have some linemen to spare. Alright, so the Dolphins need offensive linemen. We'll try giving up right tackle Brian Bell. He is a 84 overall. He's our backup. He's not going to play. So we'll do it for him in 2 fifths if the Dolphins accept. And the Dolphins will take Bell and 2/5 off our hands. So we're trading some of our middle round picks. But that's okay because we are back on the clock and now it's time to get our man. And so Dorian O'Daniel, the top linebacker available. No linebackers have been taken, so he's the top linebacker in this draft. And so we are going to take him. I must admit, I am not always the best at scouting linebackers because I'm not 100% sure what to look for. So real quick, we're going to show you. He's got B speed, B strength, A agility and acceleration, C awareness. So he's got some good ratings. So we're just going to bank on, even if his coverage ratings are low, that they're going to be easy to upgrade and he's going to be a monster for us. So we need linebacker. Dorian O'Daniel is the pick at number 5. And so now we're going to take a little break, do something I've been thinking about doing for a while. Greg Olsen's 29 years old. He's already started to decline. He's down to an 83. Not much better than the youngsters behind him. So we're going to put Greg Olsen on the trade block. So I didn't like the 3, 5, 6. So we'll just try a 4 and a 5 for Hawkinson next year straight up. And that's going to be accepted. So Hawkinson is gone. The tag and trade in effect. We pick up some future picks. You never know what could come from those. So we might as well take another wide receiver here. We'll look at Kiki Kuti from Texas Tech. And we're going to go ahead and just draft him, see what happens. And so we would add 2 seconds or two sevens this year to the Browns for that pick. So you get a future one for the final pick in the second round and 2 sevenths. And so at this point, we just want to be done with the draft. We're going to see if we can trade all of our picks this year to the Bears for the 2 next year. That would be a 4 and 2 sixes remaining, and they'll take it. And so we'll send to the end of the draft. Alrighty, so we're here at the end of the draft. Our first overall selection, we traded up for him. Mario Means, we wanted to address wide receiver, and we certainly did that. He's a 77 overall. It says 23 years old. Our first round pick, we traded up again with the Dolphins, up to pick number 5 for him. And we took Dorian O'Daniel. He's a 78 overall from Clemson. That's pretty good. We also took Kiki Kuti at the end of the first round. He was a 75 overall, 22 years old. And then we took Stacy Thomas after we ran out of time trying to trade it, and they simmed a pick for us. He's a 67 overall outside linebacker, so I'm not going to complain about that. So now we move on. Alright, so we get some trade offers for Greg Olsen. We'll see what they look like. So we're going to take a trade with Cincinnati for a 2 next year for Greg Olsen. He's starting to be on the decline. We want to get value for him while we can. And so we are going to move Greg Olsen, and that leaves Jake Byrne as our starting tight end this year. And so we were simming through the preseason. I noticed that miraculously and unbelievably, the Colts had somehow put T.Y. Hilton on the trade block. And so Hilton's 24 years old. He's 3 years younger than Thomas. He's better than Thomas is already. So I thought we would just see maybe how serious they were about that trade block. And if we can get a deal done without giving up anything major, then hey, why not? It'd be kind of a blockbuster, but if not, we'll stick with Thomas because I think Thomas has done some good things. So we're just going to see, just to see how serious they are about it. Thomas, a 5 and 6 this year for Hilton. we're just going to see how serious they are about wanting him on the trade block. And they straight up took Mike Thomas, a 5 and a 6 this year, for T.Y. Hilton. What? Are you serious? I didn't think they would actually take that first offer. What are the Colts smoking? What is their GM on? That wasn't even that great of an offer. It was an older wide receiver. I mean, Thomas is still okay, but he's not better than T.Y. Hilton. And the difference between them isn't a 5 and a 6. What are the Colts smoking? So apparently they really wanted T.Y. Hilton gone because they literally just took a 5 and a 6 and Mike Thomas for him. So we're going to take that and we're going to move on with our life now. Did not expect that to happen at all. But we do still need to sign a backup quarterback for this year, so we're going to do that real quick. So yeah, to end this episode, we are looking at the current Hall of Fame listed, see if any of the recent retirees made it in. So you have Montana. Peyton Manning was not listed as a retiree when we checked, but he did retire, and he is in the Hall of Fame, the second highest legacy score for any quarterback. Everyone else is already retired. And Randy Moss is in the Hall of Fame. He was a free agent, must have retired at the end of the season. He's into the Hall of Fame with a 10,000 legacy score. And Steve Smith is also a Hall of Famer. He has a monstrous final season, gets his first Super Bowl, his only Super Bowl win, then retires, and on the coattails of that MVP, all kinds of awards, and the Super Bowl and NFC Championship. He has the second highest legacy score of any wide receiver right now, behind Jerry Rice. So Steve Smith is into the Hall of Fame. Hopefully that's a semblance of what it's like in real life. I think he's got a legitimate case for it. Obviously not first ballot, but I think he should get in at some point. So yeah, Steve Smith's in the Hall of Fame. And also Champ Bailey makes it in at cornerback. So the recently retired Champ Bailey gets into the Hall of Fame. Charles Woodson gets in as well. He joins Rod Woodson. So, yeah, they're both in the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. That'll do it for the offseason. I'm still shocked the Colts really gave up T.Y. Hilton for Michael Thomas and a bag of peanuts. Like, what? I did not expect that, but it's what happens anyway. And so, yeah, that is going to do it for this episode. Next episode will be the Season 2 kickoff. And, yeah, that's going to do it for me. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.